Okay, so I'm back with Gemini Midheaven, and Gemini Midheaven is very interesting. Um, Gemini Midheaven, people see you as the teacher or some source of information. So a Gemini Midheaven individual will do good when it comes to informing or teaching people, others. Okay, now you have to understand what that looks like, what the material, like what that manifests as, the the levels that you go through. Like for instance, you can start as like a teacher or someone that's even online, doing some, social media and stuff like that. Because it's like the voice. Gemini is like the voice. You can see yourself progress over time. So it's like you started at a certain position or a certain place. And then as time went on, you see like you changing things, like you're changing your backgrounds, you becoming better, with your speaking voice becomes better, the way that you um deliver your information becomes better, and then you find these other ways to advance and update yourself. And just like over time, you might find yourself talking to small groups of people all the way to a large group of people over time. It's like you go through this process of levels. You can start as like, you know, elementary school teacher, kindergarten teacher or something, middle school, high school, college, a professor. Yeah, basically progressing. So that makes sense since I keep getting interrupted. Let's talk about the way that people recognize you or they see you. They could see you as somebody that really is serious um about your work. Or I would say this because this is something that I've noticed too when it comes to Gemini energy. Like, you definitely have your hands in different pots, and but there's always something that they're recognizing about you, or they're getting to know about you, or they're learning about you. So you can be someone definitely that could have multiple streams of income, or a couple different directions you go in, because like, and it could be important that you have choices, like you work towards having choices. Like, you don't just got one direction that you go in, because you can get bored with the work you do, or you'll notice that there ends up becoming changes along the path that you're on for whatever reason, like the company that you're at, or the way that you would go about getting prepared, you know, for the work that you're doing. You'll notice like it'll switch up, or there'll be something that changes that has to cause you to change, or you to advance, or you don't never really want to be stuck. And you know, let's just say you have this could happen with the Aquarius midheaven too, but that's a whole nother thing. You know, you don't, because your ability to thrive and be motivated for work and feel fulfilled is your ability to have more than one choice, your ability to not feel stuck. So it's, you may not like being in a job position or in a career or something like that for long periods of time, or too long, or just having that only um choice. And you know what would be good too, like if you are doing like a career or something like that, what could be helpful is if you have some sort of hobby or something that you can do on the side that, in today's world, it could be beneficial too if it can make you money, if it was lucrative in some way, shape, or form. Limitations, being limited, feeling like you're stuck is not the way to go when it comes to career and set. So Where you will feel stuck or where it will be not so good for you is when it comes to work, when it comes to something that you're building, is if you're limited. Because if you think that as a Gemini midheaven, your only focus is on one thing and one thing for the rest of your life, at some point you're going to become bored, or at some point you're going to, whatever it is that you're involved in, you're working at, you're trying to pursue, it will end up you will end up feeling stagnant, maybe even unhappy. It can affect your whole life because you're going to feel like, okay, man, now I got to start all over again. But the best to get the best results is to just incorporate, you know, this, like, how should I say, not just incorporate, but when you're making plans on whatever direction that you're trying to go in, to have, to don't just stop, at one plan, to have a couple different outlets or a couple different directions that you go towards. You could see this individual that have like different degrees or degree in certifications or some sort of talent or history in multiple things. Like this individual could be a musician, part-time musician or something like that, or a musician from gaining this skill set or something like that from like grade school or whatever, and just still have the ability, like you can definitely use the skills and stuff like that that you've obtained to make money off of, like. So how do you, like I said, because I have to ask myself the question, and I have to ask myself the question to ask you the question, really, for your midheaven, where do you feel stuck, or where do you begin to feel stuck, or like you're not being conducive, or things become stagnant for the Gemini midheaven, is when you don't have options, and when you're not being able to be heard. You're definitely one of those individuals that can rub people the wrong way, um you know in the company or in your workplace, or just what you're moving towards and what you're trying to accomplish in life. Just because you bring something different, you're not afraid to, like, you might speak up when you feel like there needs to be changes made within the workplace or within the company. um and like I said, it can be, you can receive backlash, because it could simply be because individuals that are in said leadership management positions and stuff like that, or um the whatever your company you're in, or whatever is already set in place, you bring, like, what you're bringing to the table with your intellect and your insight and stuff like that. It could be very different. It could be so different that they're not ready to embrace it. Like, this is why getting around people, like-minded individuals, or maybe even designing your own thing, you know could definitely be beneficial for you. Or maybe understanding that the reason why you would be a teacher, like being a teacher is not limited. It's, you may have to um be like, look and see the area or the field that you're in, and see where you feel like there should be some advancement made and stuff like that, and then go and produce those products, produce that podcast or whatever, that channel that says, okay, yeah, well, this is a better way of doing what it is that you're doing or that you're not doing, if that makes any sense. um so Gemini midheavens is going to be someone that brings a certain sort of level of intellectualism and advanced thinking to the job that they're at, and people can actually seek you out because of your ideas and your intellect, but I feel like you have to, that's a good thing. But at the same time, Gemini midheavens can find themselves being used for the ideas, teaching other people in the job and stuff like that, but not being promoted or not being compensated for it, you know. So you got to be careful. You got to be careful when it comes to these type of things, because um and it just depends on who you are, because you could be someone that don't mind don't mind having your ideas utilized, um or whatever. You can, but just don't, make sure it is not one of those significant ones that you can sit up and you can promote and you can make a lot of money off of. People can people cannot know how to take you, because they're like, oh yeah, Gemini, like one day or at one time they feel like you're active and extroverted, and then another time it's like you want to be withdrawn to yourself, and you can be very, at one moment, open and friendly and conversating, and in another moment, introverted and kind of cold. So they don't know how to take you. You know what I'm saying? Like, that could be a very good strength to have too, when you are trying to advance yourself, because you don't never want people to completely know all your moves and how they're going to see you coming. Like, you can confuse your enemies that way. But at the same time, like I said, people could be seeing you as somebody, like, they don't know whether they can really trust you, with that type of energy, bringing that type of energy to the forefront, or at the workplace, or just in general, because the midheaven is also representing the way that people see you. So be mindful of that. So yeah, and this is the thing, like, you definitely have different variations of yourself, different points of views of the way you see yourself. And like I said, being open to those differences and those different perspectives, like, you got the ability, hey, another thing, where you will be good at going in and solving problems for people, whether it be like counseling or just problems. You can go in and see different perspectives. So you working in an environment that's not limited is helps you, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like, okay, well, it's only one type of person that works here, or a one approach of doing things. Like, you literally can go in and rearrange everything, like, just because you're able to see something different. Like, you can go in and be like, okay, well, from this, you can see things. You will make a good person, a salesperson, counselor, anything, for the simple fact that you can go in, especially relationship counselor or coach. You can go in and you could be like, okay, well, from this person's perspective, this is how they're looking at things. Your perspective, you're looking at things differently, and then you're clashing because of it. Let's find a middle ground. So you're definitely excellent for networking too. The point is for you, you're too great. You are too multi-talented and multifaceted to be stuck to one thing or tied down to one thing. Okay? And no, you should not, like, I kind of feel like people can feel like competition with you or get upset with you because, in a sense, you got this boss energy. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's like you won't take no crap, and then you have the ability, or you possess the ability to stand up or to say things that other people won't stand up and say or do. But we're talking about the midheaven too. We're talking about the 10th house. So there could be struggles and limitations there. Like you can feel like your voice is not being heard. You can feel like there are certain restrictions on you being able, you could possibly want to have or seek to have multiple incomes coming in, you know. But there's always something, you could feel like there's things that's in the way to that interfere with what that looks like in if you can do it or not. And it's just the woes of the 10th house. You know what I mean? It's, you know, really ultimately, because everything we're doing, we're learning and we're experiencing and we're growing from that. So what seems like a restriction is there to actually take you to the next level, help you grow, you know? And I feel like the whole challenge of you not being heard, not being represented correctly, is for you to for some of you to go out and create your own thing, or to learn to speak up and not accept bull crap. To keep going up to the next level, to say, okay, well, I'm not satisfied here. What's the next thing for me to do? Because I'm not limited. I'm not a limited being. All right, so this has been Gemini Midheaven. I'm going to fly to the light, and you know I'm going to return. Ew.